Okay, so here we go. So finally, I was able to get this completed. I went back and forth trying to get it right so many times and so many like reiterations. And as I'd mentioned in other videos, probably multiple times, how when you tell the AI to do something, it'll say it did it and it'll check it and then later find out it didn't actually do it and or there's a problem, right? So anyways, this is true recall. Okay. So, um, it's basically Jarvis memory, but like way better. Right. And so I decided to make it into like multiple, tiers. Right. So I, after Jarvis memory and I found out that I could write directly to Qdrant, I got rid of Redis and this only needs Qdrant now. Or you could use a online vector database. I mean, so the options are out or whatever you want. And so I what I had done was I was trying to just make like this gems model like V2, and that was a combination of the base and gems, right? Then I got to thinking, I was like, I really use the base a lot, right? Like the gems is still needs a little work. And then I came up with blocks, and I'll explain that in a second. But basically, the base is probably the most handy thing, and I figured that these could be like add-ons. So that way, if you just want the base, it does. I mean, it almost does everything I want, right? Because I'll show you in a second, but it's really pretty comprehensive and it's simplified, right? So it's really simplified. Anyways, my point is you have gems and you have blocks or things that I'm gonna come out with later that add on to this, or you don't have to add on to it. Like it's all already complete. Okay. But if you want to do something a little bit more, I am gonna work on these, and then hopefully I can get off this memory kick and like start doing videos on other things, anyways, so I had it, I created a quick install, and then it'll give you like, it'll prompt you with like the questions like, what's your Qdrant IP address, your Ollama IP address, things like that. And then it'll ask you if you want to proceed. So it's pretty simple installation, or there's like manual steps that you could just do it yourself. Um, let's see. Oh, requirements. I tried to get this as thorough as possible. So realistically, you could not use the GitHub and still be able to install it yourself without just with the instructions. That was kind of my goal. Okay. So the architecture is, you chat with the AI, and then the session gets recorded in OpenClaw here, and the watcher watches for this to close. So it calls it turns, right? So you chat, it responds one turn. This Daemon sees it, and then it pops it in. It takes it. It strips out all the extra stuff because it saves it with all the special characters and the thinking of the model and all that stuff. Well, this one strips all that out, and then it uses Ollama embedding model to put it into Qdrant memories. So, I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's actually very simplified. Um, I'm really glad that I went this route because it keeps it simple for, just basic like portable memory, right? Like, because whenever if I move to another project or something, like if a better OpenClaw comes around and I want to use the memory, having this simple kind of design works really nice. So, anyways, uh, so you could read through. I'm not going to go through this entire thing, but I tried to include as much detail as possible, and the way that it's designed, like anything I could think of, I tried to get in here, so that way it was very clear like how it works, right? So every detail, mostly because if you want to do it yourself and you're like, I'm not going to use a GitHub thing or whatever, you just want to recreate it, you could probably grab text from here and plug it into your AI and get the same thing. So you don't have to use the GitHub. It's just, someone had recommended it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea because I already had a GitHub account. Oh, and in the other video I mentioned, my GitHub account is blocked, uh, for whatever reason. It's still not open. They said that it could take like up to like 40 days, some ridiculous thing. So I put in the ticket, 4 days ago. I complained that they weren't doing anything. I keep sending them messages and they just don't respond. And according to online, that's just how they roll. Anyways, so I have this on my local Gitty. I'm not sure how it's said, but and then I have it on GitHub, so you can. I'm sorry. What is it? GitLab, because I wanted to have some other official place so that everyone could know, all the codes out there. There's no hidden, anything in it, right? So, anyways, now I was going to give you a little bit of an example. So this is kind of how it works, right? So I create a new session. Now this is just sorry, where'd I create the new session? So I just did the latest update and it changed some things around where, like when I create a new session, it doesn't dump the text from before. Not sure if that's a bug or a feature, right? So I start a new session, and this is just kind of an example of me kind of probing it to find out like how it does what it's doing with the memories, right? So I said, when I say, do you remember that, where do you search? And so when you ask if I remember something, I search Q, which that's what I abbreviated to in her memory, so that's always the quadrant memories. Okay. So she said I search that first, and that's where all her conversation are captured in real time. If Q doesn't turn up results, then she checks her built-in memory the way that OpenClaw normally works. So this doesn't break OpenClaw functionality. And I was like, awesome, that's exactly what I wanted. And she said, glad to hear it. On the memory front, what else? I said, so I did notice, so I tried to turn off injection, right? So here's part of the cool part. I think there's some debugging still on because it gets all printed out here in the console, right? So here is, okay, there's two different things. Agent fires is where it's capturing, and then it has like a thing that says it parsed it and there were 4 exchanges and it inserted it it got embedded, right? So I think that's this section right here. So it keeps doing that because every time we talk back and forth, it grabs it. Now this is the injection portion for the gems, right? So it says the search returns 0 results threshold. I have it set at 0.8. So it has to have a very high match to inject anything. And so didn't meet the threshold. So skipping injection. So again, and you could see every time I respond to it, it checks the threshold for results from the gems. But anyways, that's not what this video is about. That's just still in there. But the conversation I was having with Kimmy was, I thought I turned it off. And so she said she didn't turn it off. It's still active. And then the job to create the gems. And I said, I wanted you to turn them both off. I think you said before you paused them already. And she's like, you're right. Let me check what we actually have discussed. Searching my memories now, which is supposed to be Q, right? And then I think in the new version, she didn't ever respond. So I said, I had to say, what memories did you search? And she said, you're catching me. I actually didn't search Q my memories. I jumped straight to checking the collection state with curl commands instead of doing a proper semantic search like I should have, which I think this is just the Kimmy model is kind of like weird like this. Anyways, she said, let me do it right now. Searching my memories for our conversation and pausing, turning off injection. And so again, she didn't come back and respond. I said, what did you find? And so she searched Q memories and she didn't see, which she's right. I think that I was mistaken, but she did find. So one of the things I did tune up that I did actually about a couple hours ago was I didn't have the memory sorted by date. I had the date timestamp, but I just assumed that she was going to take it into consideration, but she wasn't. So what I did was I had the job that searches the memories, the script to order them by the date time. So that way I was thinking, like, if I change my mind on something, I want the most recent conversation. I don't want you to spit out an old conversation, right? So this is what she found. I paused the timer curator job, not injection. You ask, how does it get determined? I mean, she quoted me. How does it get determined what gets injected? I reported context injection at 05 threshold. No record of pause injection. Did you ask somewhere else, or should I disable it now? But what's cool is that she decided, she automatically searched the memories, right? So this is all from the memories. This is not from the built-in, but that's kind of the gist of it. If anyone has any questions, thanks for watching. And I hope that you find it useful and you could use it if you choose to. Thanks. Take care.